we are all on the same page. Are you all on the app or are you on the web? I think, Swati, you have an app which popped up.
Yeah. No, no, I don't have.
So you're still using the browser for this session, is it?
No, no. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I already downloaded the app in morning. Yes, I'm on the app. I think so.
Okay, which means then if I make you an organizer, you will have the option to record your own session, I suppose. Hang on a second. Oh no, I do not have an option
Yes,
to
yes.
make you the. Is your there's a record this meeting option at the bottom of that app? Is that available to you?
I got this.
Yes.
No.
Okay, so
No.
I think at least I think Prithvi is on the browser-based app. I think
Yes.
so. You will not have the option to record.
It- For me, it says this session is being recorded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's because I am doing the recording now. So no worries. I'll keep doing the recording, and a little later in the day I'll be uploading it and sending you a link, right? Which
That
which
will be
which
nice.
which actually also means that you need to send me a test mail. Uh, you have my email ID there already. If not,
No.
at gmail.com, right? You can send me a test mail from your Gmail IDs to this one, so that I'll be sharing our folder with you on my drive, right? So all the
Okay.
videos will be available there either for you to watch online or you're welcome to download it and keep it with
Okay.
you, right? I already have yours, Swati. So okay, so CCNA, and we are doing R&S, right? Routing and switching, because Cisco has about 9 different streams in terms of certification. You have R&S, which is the base of everything. Then you have security. You have collaboration, which is into voice and video. You have service provider. You have special operations. You have cloud. So there's basically 9 different streams which you can follow, right? But everything
Yeah.
needs to start from routing and switching, because routing and switching is all about getting data from one point of the world to the other, or from one office to other, or from one computer to another. So unless you are able to move data, there is no securing it, there is no cloud, there is no voice, nothing, right? So the primary skill set you should be having is, how do I get my data, how do I move my data from this network to that network, or this computer to that computer. At the end of this, for us, once you finish your CCNA, it is more or less, it's not very different on how you have 10 computers in your office, you have connected them together, you're sharing files, you're copying file from one system to another, and it wouldn't make that much of a difference to you if one of those computers was in a different part of the world, right? The set of rules that we are going to follow is exactly the same, the protocols we are going to use is exactly the same. So the distance at some point of time will stop being a big issue, except for, of course, it takes slightly more time to move the file. But from a network engineering perspective, one computer being on the other part of the world should not ultimately make a difference, right? That is what we are going to be learning in CCNA, routing and switching. Uh, Routing and switching, basically, as the name suggests, there are two parts, right? We start off with switching. You have my screen, right? You're getting what I'm writing?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So switching and routing, basically. Now, switching is going to basically deal with your LAN, which I'm sure all of you know means the local area network, right?
Yes.
Which is your network within a building, within an office, within a campus, or whatever. So basically, all about switching, and routing, of course, is about the wide area network.
Yes.
Okay. So here we will start with concepts of basically the first thing we learn would be TCP/IP, right? The protocol itself, and I believe we would be sending about a good 3 to 4 days on this one, because unless you understand your TCP/IP well, there is you're not going to be able to do any kind of networking. Then once we are done with that, we would go into what is called basic device access, which would mean how do you access these devices, routers and switches and other devices, and how do you get to configure them. So because these devices are not like a computers, right? They do not have a keyboard, mouse, or a monitor, right? You would have to connect
Yes.
to them in an alternate way. So that would be basic device access. And this is a session where then the video would be on and I would be showing you the device and how we can access and connect to them. So only in this one particular session, you need to, see my face. Otherwise, you don't. You only need my voice. Yeah, I don't want to scare you guys too early in the day, so I would stay away from the video for the time being. Okay, once we are through that, this is basically considered to be pre CCNA topics. These are topics I normally would expect a CCNA student to have, but this is where we start from, right? We spend about 5 days before we actually start the actual CCNA topics, right? Which in switching would start from what we called concepts of switching, how switching works, and we move on into VLANs or the virtual LANs, which also includes inter-VLAN routing as a topic, which would basically mean communicating between virtual LANs. We move on to, there are a couple of protocols there, the virtual trunking protocol, the dynamic trunking protocol. Then we want move on to the major part of, or the meat of switching, which is the spanning tree protocol. Now, the spanning tree protocol is about 60% of switching, right? The spanning tree protocol basically lets you create redundant switching paths and preventing loops. Now, I'm sure that doesn't mean much to you at this point of time, right? Those are just words, redundant paths and all that stuff. But yes, you will see once we start with our VLAN classes, and your practicals would start at this point of time. So it's going to be 5 days of theory where we learn TCP/IP, and then yes, basic device access where you get to see some devices and how they are connected and accessed. But it's from the concepts of switching where we actually have practical sessions.
Okay.
Yeah, and then two more topics at this point of time. We have something called Ether channel, which is basically about combining multiple links for getting more bandwidth. Like you might have a 1 gigabit connection between switches, right? But because of more devices on the switches, you might need a bigger channel in between this. So you have a facility in Cisco to bind up to 8 cables to give you a total of about 8 GB on that one. And then the last, we have something called FHRP, which stands for First Hop Redundancy Protocol. Again to do with redundancy. So these are the topics you would be covering first in switching, right? And this entire set of topics is to do with your local area network. How do you set up your office or your network within your premises, right? This has got nothing to do with how you connect to the internet or how you communicate between two different networks, right? Now, moving on to the WAN. What is a WAN, by the way? What is your concept of a WAN?
Word area network.
Yes, that is definitely the full
Why?
form. But what does it mean?
Like the way we connected, like from California, Virginia, India. I think this is called WAN network.
Well, and not in the strictest term of
That
it. Right now, it's basically we are all connected to the common network, which is the internet. That's about it, right?
Yeah.
So not in the stricter, or not from your perspective. See, from a common user's perspective, yes, this is WAN, right? See, there's going to be a difference between a driver and a mechanic, right? If I ask a driver how the car starts, he's going to say, I'm going to get into the car, I'm going to plug my key in, and I'm going to turn the key, and that's it. My car starts, right?
Yeah.
That's how a driver is going to be. How about you ask a mechanic? Hmm. He's going to have an altogether different story about it, right? He's going to talk about the electrical components, the piston, the I don't know, whatever. I mean, he's going to talk a completely different story about how an engine starts up, right? So you guys at some point of time are going to be the technicians, the mechanics, the engineers of networking, right? So that regular user answer is not what we would be looking at. See, if you want to put it simply, connecting multiple local area networks across geographical locations, would that make more sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
For example, you have Swati, you have your office in California. You have about 50 to 100 computers, which are locally connected into a LAN within the office, right?
Mhm.
Now, I
Yeah.
have an office. Let's say it's a branch office or some sort of a partner company in Bangalore with again some kind of a similar setup. But I want all the
Mm-hmm.
people from your office to access the servers in my office, and I want all the people from my office to access the servers in your office,
Yeah.
right? So we are basically connecting two local area networks across geographical distances. Now that would be a wide area network,
Yeah.
right? So which is the biggest network in the world?
When?
Why did?
It is a network of networks, the largest network in the world. I mean, we're all connected to it now,
Internet.
of course. I mean, see, internet is what they call it the network of networks, right?
Yeah.
It's about a million networks connected together by service providers. That is what the internet is all about. That's why it does not belong to a single person or a country, right? Small chunks of it belong to companies or individuals, autonomous, and then there's somebody connecting all of these guys together. So that is basically the physical form of the internet.
Yeah.
So in routing, what we are going to be learning about is, of course, starting with concepts of routing. Then you'll be learning how to direct your traffic from one part of the world to another, which would be starting with what we call static routing. And once static routing, the concepts of static routing is clear and the practicals are done, we would be moving on to dynamic routing protocols, which, according to the current Cisco curriculum, you have two protocols. One is EIGRP and another one called OSPF. There used to be another basic protocol which was there called RIP, which is no longer part of the curriculum, but we still touch on that topic because that is the simplest protocol to learn, right? So as part of the learning curve, we still go through RIP, spend about an hour on RIP so that you can quickly set up a network and start dynamic routing. So once the dynamic routing concepts are clear on RIP, then we go into fairly good depth of EIGRP and OSPF. EIGRP stands for Enhanced Interior Gateway Routing Protocol. Used to be a Cisco proprietary protocol, but now it has become an industry standard. And OSPF stands for Open Shortest Path First, which I'm sure you must have at least peripherally looked at in your college days for people from information technology and I believe communications also. Any recollection?
No.
No.
Mm,
Anybody heard
sorry.
of
So,
Dijkstra's algorithm?
No.
Hmm.
No.
That shows how focused you were in college. I'm sure about the same that I was in my days. But when I talk about college, I think that is more like 25 years in the past. So let's not go there. Okay. So once we are done with our OSPF, then we have another protocol called BGP, which at CCNA level we would just be touching because BGP or Border Gateway Protocol is the the routing protocol that runs or the powers the entire internet. That is one protocol which is what runs the internet, right? So that's a huge topic. So
Yeah.
BGP can be a topic of a whole session by itself. I've been in this industry, as I told you, close to 25 years, and I still would say probably I am only 50% aware of BGP's capabilities after all this time, because it's such a huge topic by itself. Obviously, something that powers the internet has got to be huge, right? So at a CCNA
Yeah.
level, we just discussed the very basics of BGP. So not a very big topic there. But in CCNP level, there's the three whole chapters dedicated to BGP. But luckily for you, CCNA guys, not that heavy a topic. Then the new topic introduction has come in with a little bit of security. They've added a little security into the new Cisco curriculum, which primarily focuses on virtual private networks, how to create secure networks over the internet, and it also includes some encryption technologies and such. Then, as a last topic, we have IPv6, right? Because
IPv6.
yeah, 95% of the curriculum or the course we will be working on IP version 4, because as of now, like it or not, the world is still running on IP version 4, but IP version 6 is going to come up sooner or later. So there is a chapter which is dedicated to that, to give you the basics of IPv6. So that's how we're going to wind up, say maybe 25 to 30 days from now.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, guys, routing and switching is not rocket science, right? It's just basically a collection of concepts. So don't think it is a big topic or anything. It's a step-by-step process, right? We're not going to be,
Okay.
so by the time you reach routing and all, you would already be in with this topic. So won't be that much of a climb, right? So that there it is. That is the topic.
Mm.
That is a Cisco suggested topic or curriculum we are looking at. I would of course be providing you with the manuals, PDF format of the manuals, right? So the
Yeah.
suggested learning track, guys, is, see, from where I look at it, this is not a theoretical topic. Of course, there is some theory in it, and my classes are going to be roughly 40% theory and 60% practical. All right. And again, from
Mm.
where I stand, I think the trainer is only 25% of your skill set. Meaning, I don't think a trainer can give you more than that, right? So when you look at
Yeah.
your skill sets as a network engineer, because see, you guys are not going to go and talk about this, right? You're going to actually work on these devices. So consider the classes to be only 25%. About 15% would come up from you reading the topics, right? Because I would be providing you the book
Mm.
for that. The reading part is really, really important, guys, right? And a good
Mm.
60% is the practice you put in, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going through a 2 hour session with me, I would suggest that you spend another 2 hours whenever convenient to you, preferably the same day, if not the weekends. But please build the same labs we are going to build in class on your own, and try the same configuration and build it on your own. And try not to be limited by my lab structure, right? Once you get the concept in place, once you know what a particular technology is going to be used for, try variations of that. Come back to me with questions the next day, right? Because each and every one of you have to develop your own logic in this.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be following my logic in this, right? Initially, of course, you will, because you're not aware of this. But once you start on it, once you start practicing, then you have to ask yourself, What if I add two more routers? What if I add two more locations into this mix? Let me try that. So you need to go there. Yeah. At the end of this session,
Okay.
all of us have to come away with something in this, which is why I'm going to primarily, going to be heavily on the practical side of things. Once I make it clear to you from a short theory session as to why this particular technology is there, where it came from, what is it going to be used for, right? Once that part is done, then we are going to be doing practical sessions. Done?
Yes.
I'm only hearing one yes. What about you guys?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right. That sounds better. All right. Now, about your practicals, right? We I don't know. We will be primarily using a tool called the GNS3, and this tool is freely downloadable from the website. You just have to register using your your email ID, right? Now,
Okay.
this is what we call an emulator. Because see, the limitation of doing your own labs is getting the hardware, right? I don't think anybody wants to
Yeah.
go and spend about 22,000 odd dollars in getting a lab together now, right?
Mhm.
Hmm. Something that we're not going to enjoy. So this is where we go into an emulator, because what this particular piece of software does is it emulates the hardware, right? Because if you look at it, any kind of hardware, whether it's your mobiles, whether it is your PCs or your switches or routers, basically they are hardware on which some sort of software runs, right? Your computer is made up of a motherboard. It's got processors, it's got some memory, it's got some interfaces, and then you put an operating system on top of that, and that's how you access it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So similarly, your routers and switches are not that different from it. Those devices also have a motherboard. They have processors on it. Maybe not Intel processors, but they definitely do have processors. They have memory. They have some sort of a storage device like your hard disk, right? They have interfaces. So
Yeah.
basically, what it is done is Cisco has got its own operating system. Like Microsoft has got Windows, Cisco has got its own operating system called the iOS, or the Internet Working Operating Systems. I'm just skimming over the topic now. We will be covering all this in detail over the class, right? So what this software is going to do here is lets you create a network. Let me try to pull up what I was doing in the last session. Okay, it disappeared. But this one is more of a CCNP session than CCNA topic. But at some point of time, this is where you will be going with your classes. Remember what I told you about BGP, the routing protocol that powers the whole internet? Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So this is how it will start looking in the end.
Okay.
Okay, those are set of routers. So basically, different autonomous systems using BGP to connect to each other, or from a much more basic perspective, basic routing. Yeah. How many of you are using Windows 8 or 10?
Window 10.
God bless you.
Windows.
God bless you
Yeah.
too.
Window 10.
God bless you too. All right. Because Windows 10, I believe it is a half-baked product, right?
Oh, yes.
Microsoft has this habit of releasing half-baked products and then fixing the problems over the next 3 years with service packs. Your GNS3 might give you a little bit of trouble on Windows 10. But with the new version, I think they've tried to fix it. So hopefully it is done. I'm still sticking to my Windows 7 because I find that is the stablest product in Microsoft's set of operating systems yet. I never moved away from 7. I tried 8 and 10 and I was not too happy with it, so I just came back to 7. Anyway, so I'll be helping
Yeah,
you build
7
this
is good.
lab. Sorry? Somebody said something.
Okay.
Okay. So as I was saying, I'll be helping you build this lab. GNS3 is freely downloadable from the website, right? And the operating system to put on all these routers and switches I'll be giving you. So sometime during the beginning of switching sessions, we will all spend a half session building the GNS3 lab, right? And then during class sessions, we will be
Okay.
building these labs and working out things. So basically, you can actually put together all these devices. You can basically start them off the way you normally start an actual device. And once you start a device, you will be able to access it over a command line interface, basically using a console. So that is where you're going to be spending the time on accessing these devices, configuring them, making them behave as you want them to. Doesn't make much sense, does it now? Don't worry, it will. I still remember my first CCNA class. So back in '99, trust me, the first 3 days were a blur.
Wow.
I couldn't even see the ball go by. I mean, big bouncers. So it's like at the end of third day that I actually saw the ball going by, and probably the fifth day before I actually caught it. So, so I actually factored that in because I don't think my trainer had much of a clue as to where I came from at that time, right? I was more of a LAN guy than a WAN guy, and he started shooting. He started talking about all this kind of WAN technology. I was like, what the heck is this guy talking about? Mm. So, which is why I've included those 4 days before the actual CCNA topics, right? To bring that
Yeah.
to kind of bridge that gap. So we're going to be basically talking about starting from a point where we discuss what is a network, right? We're going to start from there. So whether you have some experience or no experience at all will make a difference. Then we're going to start from the question, what is a network in the first place, right? Any questions so far, guys?
Mhm.
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
So are we all set on the timings?
Fine.
Are we not set on the timings?
If it was morning, if it was morning, it would be really good. It is an evening.
Mm, the problem, Swati, is if there were a few more students in the evening, then we could have considered that, right?
Yeah.
Because I normally do a session with a minimum of three students. That's the issue here. Mm,
Okay.
So let's see. As of now, let's run with this
It's
timing.
okay. I'll
And
manage.
sorry.
Uh, it's okay. I'll manage.
Okay. Uh, and for you guys, I think this is okay, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we will run with this timing for the time beings. And how about the weekends, guys? How are you set on the weekends? Ooh, thundering
So there
silence.
gonna be
Thundering
class in
silence,
the
huh?
week.
No, no, thundering silence when I asked about your weekends. Hmm, not a very good sign. No, uh, if there is some lag in between, if you miss a class, if some of you are in a hurry to finish it off, then yes, at least once in a while we do a slightly longer weekend sessions. Something to keep in mind. And I'm sure since the group is up, um, see, the thing here is I want you guys to set the pace of this thing. You get my point? That's what the group is for. So when there is a convenient time for the three of you,
Yeah.
you let me know and I will come on board. That's how it's going to work out. Unless, of course, I'm traveling or something. Because my job requires me to travel a little bit, right? So unless I'm traveling, or I go home. I'm basically from Kerala. I'm from Cochin, right? So some of the weekends I do go
Oh,
home. Yeah. So even then, it's only during the traveling time, which is overnight, that there is a problem. But during the daytime or evenings, I'm still available, right? So I want you guys to
oh,
set the pace. I want you to manage the timings, and it's not going to be that way where I am going to dictate the terms of this course. I'm going to let you guys dictate it actually. See, that's what the whole thing, the flexibility of an online session is all about, right? All right.
Yeah.
So any questions as to topic coverage, as to method of teaching, anything you want to discuss? That would be a time. I really don't want to start on any particular topics today because the first session is all about you getting comfortable with my way of handling things and me getting to know each of you.
Does this curriculum cover all the topics that will be coming in our CCNA exam if we want to be like certified CCNA?
Uh, I think that's a wrong question because I don't think there is a point in me teaching you CCNA if I don't go by the Cisco curriculum, right? So basically, what I'm going to teach you is exactly what Cisco
Yeah.
curriculum is all about, Cisco exam curriculum, right? So this is focused
Okay.
basically
Okay.
for the exam.
Yeah.
Every topic which we cover is what Cisco suggests and what comes for the exam. Yes, I mean wouldn't make much sense if I
Okay.
call it CCNA class if I don't follow Cisco's curriculum, right? After all, they are the guys who give you the exam.
Yeah. Just
No, this is focused on the
And is there any book that you find?
sorry.
Is there any book or any online book, or is there any book
Yes,
that we
yes,
need to purchase or
I
no?
will be sharing you the book. Don't worry about that. I'll be sharing you quite a bit of material, some cheat sheets, okay, a bunch of stuff which I have collected over the years. Yes, I'll be sharing all that with you. Right. So once we get to a certain level, I would even be giving you access to my older class sessions, meaning some CCNA sessions which has already happened before,
okay.
and the recordings are there. So if one of you want to actually be a little proactive and see what tomorrow's session is all about, and maybe get a head start, you will be welcome to do that also.
okay.
Okay.
Hmm? So as I told you, there's a lot of flexibility in this, and no worries on that front. Because I've started taking classes. I think about it's been a couple of years. I still get calls in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning. Vincent, I'm stuck on this one. I need your help, right? So I'm used to that now. In fact, today morning I got a call at around 3. Vishal, because your timings are different from mine, right? You
Oh
guys
my
work
God.
in a city.
Vishal.
Hmm? No, not that Vishal. Not this.
Vishal Bhatt.
Not this Vishal. I'm expecting Vishal to do that sooner or later, but not our Vishal. There was
Okay.
another Vishal from about a year and a half back. He actually got through a job in kind of hardcore security. He was a security student of mine. So yeah, Vishal is somebody who ruins my sleep practically at least once a week. So and don't worry, I'm expecting our Vishal to do that soon.
Okay.
Hmm. So you know that whole batch, is it? Most of them, I suppose. Vishal and Rutuja and all, right?
Yeah, they are my classmates. They
Oh.
were my classmates. They graduated already.
Hmm.
Vishal got a job.
I know. He called me the same day.
Yeah.
Hmm. Ask Rutuja
Okay.
what Pandra Pandra means, okay? That was one particular term in that class.
Sure.
Because there is a
Okay, Vishal doesn't know that I'm attending this class.
I see, okay. Because there is a protocol which stands which goes intermediate system to intermediate system. And if you look at the short name for that, it says IS, right? So we didn't really want to say that particular word on an open session, because ISIS is not a very happy term to be discussing over the net, right? You understand where I'm
Yeah.
going? So basically, then that was Rutuja's solution. Let's call it Pandra Pandra. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that stuff keeps happening all the time.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So if you have no further questions, I'm going to wind up this session for the day, right? And we will start on the curriculum as of 6:30 tomorrow.
Tomorrow. All right.
Right?
All right then.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
All right then. See you guys
Yes, fine.
in tomorrow evening, I suppose, for you. Tomorrow evening for you. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have a great evening. Bye.
Okay, sir.
Good day for you.
Have a
Yeah, you too. Have
have
a
a
good
good
day.
day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.